Against the War as Long as It Lasts by Amadeo Bordiga. There are some comrades whose opinion of the war may be summarized as follows. The war should not be happening, but now that we are engaged in it, how can we be against? Obviously, those who say this consider it desirable, even in the interests of the proletariat, that the war should end well and be crowned with success and glory for the Italian armies. In my view, this is an outright concession to the nationalist idea. It stems from the false concepts of the interest of the proletariat that many hold, which has led so many comrades into the most aberrant debasements of socialism. When socialism affirms the solidarity of exploited workers, transforming the interest of each into the collective class interest, it also subordinates the good of some individuals to the collective good. This brings about feelings of renunciation and self-sacrifice among the proletarians, who are the most conscious of the future of their class. In the same way, the present interest of the workers is transformed into the future good of the whole proletariat, and the socialist masses become capable of collectively foregoing today's small conquests because they have in view the great conquest ahead. It logically follows that socialism should oppose all movements that may detract from the emancipation of the proletariat by stifling consciousness in its ranks, even if in some way they represent an improvement of present conditions. The war now runs counter to and holds back the great revolutionary conquest of the working classes, stifling their consciousness of socialism in two crucial ways. First, the war enshrines the principles of violence and collective arrogance as wellsprings of progress and civilization, idealizing brute force, seeking to destroy our vision of a society based on harmony and fraternity, and hindering the logical evolution of social relations in a way that will abolish the principle of might makes right. Second, the war deludes the masses into thinking that their well-being stems from the well-being of the nation, from its strength and dignity, and that to this end they should forego social dissent. By sowing an artificial patriotic idealism in the masses, the war assures the bourgeoisie of its class domination, for it induces workers to give up struggling against the insatiable exploitation that bleeds them dry within their own homeland, while sending them off to be killed by foreigners. Let us then outline the true dimensions of the problem: war and national exaltation, glorification of collective crime, a dulling of class struggle, a move away from the demands for workers' rights and social transformation. Let us follow this through logically. If the war is victorious and triumphant for the nation, the proletariat will suffer as a result, not directly, but because it will put off indefinitely the hour of its revolt. This is why, being against war in theory, we oppose it in practice, with no qualms that it might undermine the national government by breaking the unanimity of the nation. All the other arguments against the campaign of Tripoli are of secondary importance. When we say that the war is harsh and difficult, that the diplomatic situation is unclear, that the colonization of Tripoli is a myth, and that the consequence of all this will be to damage and ruin Italian political and economic life, we should not lead our listeners to think that we would have been less opposed to the war if Turkey had succumbed in 10 days, and Tripolitania had been a Garden of Eden. Had that proved true, it would be bad news indeed for the future prospects of the proletariat in Italy. Those objections of ours to the wisdom of the war are important only because they point to one thing. In some cases, the bourgeoisie has an interest in inflicting serious damage on the nation by plunging it into a pointless war, provided that it gains, in recompense, a revitalization of patriotism and an ensuing attenuation of class struggle. This goes to show the bad faith of the main advocates of the war, and it provides us with the other side of the critique of the nationalist idea. This may be summarized as follows. The interests of the nation are not those of the working class, nor are they those of the bourgeois class, which does not hesitate to damage the fatherland, so long as it can wave its flag before the eyes of the proletariat. So there is no common interest between the rulers and the ruled. The concept of the nation and all that patriotic idealism are pure sophistry. The reality of history consists in the social struggle of classes. All over the world, the proletariat struggles in good faith, in broad daylight, against exploitation by capital. But the bourgeoisie seeks to tame it in the name of the fatherland, acts like one who, sword cast aside, approaches the enemy with a smile, only to plant a dagger treacherously in his heart. Religion is a weapon of social domination, as is patriotism, and we are the heretics of the patriotic religion.